G'day friends, so the rust repairs are going on in the background for our AW11, but that is going to take months. So while that's happening in the background, I am filming a video for it and I'm slowly going to grow a beard and cut it and grow a beard and cut it and just get old. I'm going to tackle some other things on this car. One of them is why this car was abandoned in the first place. Now you'd remember in a previous episode, we saw one of the connectors, this one in fact, had a bit of a burnt wire on it. I went, that's a bit of a smoking gun, literally. So, over the last few hours, I've been stripping back this wiring loom and this one hanging up here from the engine to find out what the hell happened. And it doesn't look good. Okay, please excuse the noise. I've got the 3D printer going here, making brake ducts, so it's a bit noisy. And we'll try to explain this the best I can. So this is one of the main wiring looms for the car. So this is one of the main fuse boxes for the engine bay. So that, I'm going to try and keep the camera non-shaky, sits here by the battery. That grommet there, so we've got all this wiring here, and that grommet there goes into the cabin. You can see that hole there. So that goes in there and that goes into the cabin. Now this grommet here, which I had to cut off because it was all shagged, usually sits around here. So from here, just the other side of the fuse box is inside the engine bay, including these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors. All this stuff here goes into the boot. So that grommet usually sits there and that wiring comes into the boot and the ECU usually sits there. Let's zoom out. And so then those wires come and they connect up to the ECU, etc., etc. And that's where those plugs go. Now, the smoking gun that we found was this guy. Please focus. So this one has the burnt out wiring, as you can see there. And that's the first one I found. So what I've done is I've stripped all the loom back and I've found some pretty funky things. So I'm going to put the camera on the tripod and show you. Okay, I'm on my way too low deck chair here. So this connector here, that usually connects into the engine harness that's hanging up there, and I'll show you that in a minute. And so we have that burnt out wire that comes all the way along. And luckily, none of this goes past it doesn't go to the fuse box, so it stops here. It goes to this little connector here, and I have no idea what that's for. I've tried to track it down. I've looked at wiring diagrams. I can't figure it out just yet. That one there, I'm pretty sure this is an earth, has 2 wires split off and go to this connect here. Once again, don't know what it is, but one of those wires is completely snapped off and that wire is burnt to a crisp. Once again, that is the earth. See, it looks like an earth, it's brown wire, it goes to there. Now, those burnt wires, obviously we've got the one that goes to our main connector, but there's one more that goes all the way along this loom. This is all burnt, and I'll do some close-ups in a minute and show you, and goes to here. So this is a earth connector, or a ground if you're American. And yes, very burnt, but nothing goes past that. All these connectors are fine. Literally, it is all the earths. It's all the negative terminals that have burnt out, and burnt out bad. I'm going to overlay some footage now so you can see how badly burnt these are, but this is pretty much an electrical fire in this car. And I can almost guarantee this is the reason why this car was parked up, because this is substantial. So over here we've got the main engine loom. So this is the loom that goes to like the injectors and all that sort of stuff, and the airflow meter, yada, 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 or the map sensor on this one. Cool, so the big grey connector just in the fuse box, these 2 connect up to, but there is one very burnt wire on this loom. Let me find him. Right here. So this connector, that first connector that we found over there, get off, bring it over. This guy, those 2 connect together. That is, as I said, the first one we saw that was burnt. So this is the other end of it. Now, interestingly enough, the rest of this loom is perfect, but this burnt wire here goes through and goes to this one here, which is another earth. So that's burnt through that loom and has gone to there. And so that's the only one that's burnt. It's just that earth wire. What I'm thinking, and I'd love to get your opinions on this, guys, is that the engine wasn't properly earthed. Like there wasn't proper earth straps going to it. And the engine has then sourced the earth through that loom into the chassis, which is not good. You find this a lot with old engines where people didn't put proper earth straps on. It would actually draw the earth through the throttle cable, and the throttle cable would end up glowing red. I think this might be one of those cases where the engine wasn't properly earthed or ground or whatever you want to call it. So it was drawing its earth power through that connector, through the loom into the chassis. That's what I'm thinking. That's why all the earths are cooked. And those two other connectors, they seem to be whatever they were connected to. I'll still try and find that out. That was earthed as well. So it's just pulling earth through those chassis. And probably when the starter motor was cranked, it was drawing a lot of amps, and it was drawing it through those cables. This is what I'm thinking. I'd love to hear what you guys think the situation would be, but basically that loom is pretty much just connected to the engine. It's got that one earth that we saw, and then you've just obviously got that connector, wherever it is, here, that is completely cooked and fried. Like that cable is munted. I'll overlay some footage, you can see that. And I think it's just drawn a ton of amps through that cable and through all the earths on the chassis, and basically, yeah, cooked those wires. That's what I'm thinking. And that's probably the reason why this car was parked up in the first place. You think if that earth strap that was on the car had been snapped off, or it was so badly corroded or something like that, or was removed for some reason. It had an aftermarket stereo with some pretty shoddy wiring, so maybe they stuffed around when they did that. Yeah, when that wiring started to die, that would have meant no negatives for half the stuff in the car, which meant a lot of it wouldn't have worked. And if they weren't savvy with electronics, or they hadn't noticed that, then they probably just parked the car up and went too hard basket. That combined with the fact that I don't think the gearbox engages either. So yeah, and I'd like to say that that is all the wiring of the car, but there is so much more. And I've gone through and there is nothing else burnt out. It is literally that one wire in this loom, so that'll be an easy fix. I'll strip that out. And then there is 3 or 4 big wires in that loom there, which I'm gonna have to pull out. They are melted together, so as I go through, I'm gonna have to check out the other wires, make sure they're not damaged, because it's pretty cooked and pretty melted. It's gonna be a headache, but I don't particularly want to have to go and buy that whole new loom. That is one of the biggest ones in the car, and it would be quite costly, and I'm already spending a lot of money on trying to get this car working, because there's a lot wrong with it, but we're in this far and we are going to make it happen. So there we are, guys, quick video today, but I just wanted to share this as I've discovered it, because it looks like a fair smoking gun as to why this car was abandoned about 20 years ago, because it sat in a field for about 16 years, and then it went from owner to owner for about 4 years until it came here. Yeah, if this hadn't have happened, maybe this car would have still been driven around, you know, maybe it wouldn't have been left in the field, and maybe it wouldn't be this rusty. It's a shame, but it is what it is. So what I have to do next is, obviously I need to replace this connector and the one on the engine loom. I know I can get this exact connector from the guys, I think it's MR2 Prime or one of those websites, and it comes with a loom about this long, but I think it's really expensive. It's like 60 bucks or something. Whereas this is a 22 pin from the look of it, connector. So what I might do is just hit up our friends at PAT, Premier Auto Trader, and say, hey, have you got a 22 pin connector? And we'll just change both ends out for a more modern style weather sealed unit, and just do that. I'll just do one at a time and repin it, and then I've got all fresh pins and all fresh connector. The only other thing I do have is this one here. I would love to know where this one goes, guys. So if you could please, any of you MR2 AW11 gurus, please let me know what that connects to. The only thing is there is exactly the same connector on the engine loom. So one of them I'm pretty sure goes to an ignition voltage balancer or something like that, but I don't know what the other one goes to. So I'd like to check out obviously whatever this plugs into to make sure that's not fried as well. And then we have this one here. Now this one's super long because that's what it looks like coming out the loom. And I have no idea what it connects to. As I said, I've been trying to look through wiring diagrams, but it's old stuff and I couldn't find it. but I will need to get a new one of these connectors. This one I should be able to save because that's just a standard spade connector in there and the actual plastic housing is fine. But this one is buggered and I will need to get a new one. So hopefully there's a website that does a reproduction one of those, or I'll have to find the other end of it and hopefully it's something I can redo. I don't know. But yeah, if you could let me know what that one goes to, I'd much appreciate that because it's obviously very fried and I want to make sure whatever it plugs into is also not fried. Yeah, as for the loom, I think I should be able to save it. As you saw in the footage, it's very crispy, but most of it is just the outer sheathing's melted and it's melted to the other wires. But you know, as you pull it back, the other wires have just got little bits of plastic from the melted wire on it. So what I want to do is strip these 3 or 4 melted wires out completely, clean it up, and then we'll run a new wire of exactly the same color straight through, and then when we repin a connector we'll put the new wire in and hopefully that should all be good, and then we'll just make sure that whatever caused this in the first place doesn't make it happen again. As I said, I'm pretty confident it's the earth strap, but I do know that only that connector, where's the other one? That connector are melted, and then it's the other one's the engine, and this one is just earth. So it can't be any faulty wiring in that because that's just an earth, that's just an earth. So as long as that guy and that guy haven't got anything funky going on, it's obviously just an earthing issue, which once again, as I said, I really do think is just a bad earth strap on this car. If it's trying to draw power through the loom instead of through the earth strap on startup, you know, it's massive amps when you crank it. But please let me know what you think. There's obviously gurus on here who would know a lot more about electronics than me, but that's my mentality and my thinking, and I think I'm on the right track. So, but feel free to put in your 2 cents. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that's it. We do have a few more of these intermittent videos going on before we finish the rust repairs. I am trying to order little patch panels for the front and back here. They're little ones like this that have like all the curves and everything, and you cut them out and you weld them in and it solves problems. But they come from Canada, they trade in US dollars for some reason. And for 2 little patch panels this big, that weigh about 1 kilo all up, they want 310 Australian dollars to ship it, which seems completely obscene to me. So I've said to them, like, guys, like, really, like a parcel that big that weighs 1 kilo should not cost that much money. 200 US dollars they want to ship it. I said, is there any other option? Otherwise, I do have family in Canada, so maybe I'll ship it to them and I'll get them to send it over for me, because that's ridiculous. $300 could get me a lot of things on this car, so yeah. Anyway, just a short video, just wanted to show you that, and check back soon. We're gonna be doing fuel pump things and fun things like that, and obviously keep going with this rust repair. Thanks for watching.